The Maya developed one of the most accurate ancient calendars, Timekeepers of the gods.
Look how Venus returns, exactly as foretold.
The calendar does not lie. We are ready for the new sun.
Imagine a world where time doesn't march forward in a straight, unyielding line, but dances in an eternal, looping rhythm. A world where every sunrise is a rebirth, and every sunset a promise of return. This isn't a fantasy. It was the reality for one of history's most fascinating civilizations. The ancient Maya. Welcome, as we journey back deep into the heart of the Mesoamerican jungle, to uncover the secrets of a people who saw the universe not as a clockwork machine, but as a living, breathing symphony. Here, beneath the dense canopy, where the calls of howler monkeys echo through the mist-shrouded temples, the Maya built a world in tune with the cosmos. As dusk settles over the towering stone pyramids of cities like Tikal or Calakmul, a profound quiet the air grows thick with the scent of damp earth and night-blooming flowers. Mist, like the breath of the ancestors, rises from the jungle floor, wrapping the ancient stones in a soft, ethereal embrace. It's in moments like these that you can almost feel the pulse of their world, a rhythm that has beaten for centuries. For the Maya, the sky was not just a canvas of distant lights. It was a sacred book, a divine map charting the course of gods and men. They were master astronomers, observing the heavens with a precision that is staggering even by today's standards. They charted the path of the sun, the phases of the moon, and the complex journey of Venus, which they saw as a powerful, often fearsome deity. They weren't just watching, they were listening for the cosmic order, the great cycle that connected everything: the celestial, the terrestrial, and the human. Think about our modern concept of time. We see it as a resource to be managed, spent, saved, or wasted. It moves in one direction. From a past we co-yent reclaim to a future we co-yent predict. For the Maya, this idea would have been utterly foreign. Their time was cyclical. It was the predictable, comforting cycle of the seasons, the dry spell, giving way to life-giving rains. The corn planted, grown, harvested, and then planted again. It was the daily journey of the sun god, Tzolk'in and Haab, who would rise gloriously in the east, traverse the sky, and then descend into the underworld, the realm of Xibalba, only to be reborn, triumphant. The following morning, this cyclical view shaped every aspect of their lives, from agriculture to architecture, from religious rituals to the structure of their society. Time wasn't something that happened to asterisk them. It was something they were a part of. They lived within its grand, repeating patterns. This understanding fostered a deep reverence for nature and a sense of continuity. The past wasn't gone. It was simply a part of the cycle that would come around again. The future wasn't an unknown terror. It was a repetition of patterns they had already observed and understood. Their magnificent calendars are a testament to this worldview. They didn't just have one calendar. They had several, interwoven like intricate cosmic gears. The most famous are the Haab, a 365-day solar calendar that governed the agricultural seasons, and the Tzolk'in, a sacred 260-day calendar that dictated the timing for ceremonies and divine prophecies. These two calendars ran concurrently, like two interlocking wheels, creating a larger cycle of 52 years. Reaching the end of a 52-year cycle was a moment of immense significance, a time of great ceremony, renewal, and perhaps a little trepidation, as the universe reset itself for the next great loop. But the Ventis 52-year cycle was just a small cog in a much larger machine. Their most awe-inspiring creation was the long count calendar, which tracked time on a scale that dwarfs our own imagination. It measured time from a mythical creation date, stretching forward in vast cycles of thousands of years, called back. This was the calendar that famously ended a major cycle in December 2012. Not signaling an apocalypse as popular culture suggested, but the turning of a page, the end of one world age, and the beginning of another, just as one season turns into the next. It was about transformation, not termination. This deep connection to time's rhythm is carved into the very stones of their cities. Pyramids, like El Castillo at Chichén Itzá, were not just tombs or temples. They were cosmic clocks. El Castillo has 4 stairways, each with 91 steps. Add the top platform, and you have 365 steps, one for each day of the solar year. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, a remarkable play of light and shadow creates the illusion of a massive serpent god, Kukulkan, slithering down the side of the pyramid. This wasn't just an architectural marvel. It was a public demonstration of the harmony between the heavens, the earth, and the architectural genius of the Maya. It was a yearly reminder that their rulers were in sync with the gods and the cosmos. So, as we begin our exploration, let's try to shed our own linear perception of time. Let's step into the cyclical world of the Maya. A world where the jungle hums with an ancient, steady beat, where the stones whisper stories of celestial cycles, and where humanity saw itself not as the master of time, but as a humble participant in its eternal, sacred dance. This is not just a story of calendars and stars. It is a story of a profound and beautiful way of seeing the universe and our place within it. It's a perspective that, even thousands of years later, holds a serene, mysterious, and powerful lesson for us all. Join us as we delve deeper into this lost world to understand not just how the Maya measured time, but how they felt. It. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey back in time as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the mysteries of history. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next chapter. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious. Imagine stepping back in time, deep into the heart of Mesoamerica. This isn't just any jungle. This is the world of the Maya, a civilization that flourished for centuries across the lands we now call southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. Forget what you think you know about ancient history, because we're about to journey into a world of breathtaking complexity and wonder. The Maya didn't just survive in their environment, they mastered it. Picture a vast, humid jungle, a sea of green teeming with life. Monkeys cull from the canopy, and the elusive jaguar, a creature of immense spiritual power to the Maya, prowls the forest floor. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and exotic blossoms. It's a world that is both beautiful and challenging, a place where survival depended on ingenuity and a deep connection to the land. But their world wasn't only jungle. The Maya also thrived on vast limestone plateaus, a landscape that presented a unique challenge: water. How did they build sprawling cities in a place with few surface rivers? Through incredible engineering. They created vast underground reservoirs, known as Tzolk'ins, and utilized natural sinkholes, or cenotes, which they considered sacred gateways to the underworld. These cenotes were not just water sources. They were portals, places of ritual and reverence. And from this challenging landscape, they coaxed life. Fields of maize, or corn, stretched out from their city centers. Maize was everything to the Maya. It was their food, their currency, and the very substance from which the gods, according to their beliefs, created humanity. The cycle of planting and harvesting maize was the rhythm of Maya life, a sacred dance between humanity and the divine. They also cultivated beans, squash, and cacao, original chocolate, a drink reserved for royalty and used in sacred ceremonies. From this world of jungle, stone, and maize rose some of the most spectacular cities the ancient world has ever known. Let's talk about Tikal in modern-day Guatemala. Imagine its great pyramids, like Temple Cuarto, piercing the jungle canopy, reaching towards the heavens. These weren't just buildings. Were man-made mountains, places where kings communed with the gods. Standing atop one of these temples at sunrise, with the mist clearing and the sounds of the jungle awakening below, you would feel like you were on top of the world. Tikal was a bustling metropolis, a center of political power and trade, with a population that may have reached 90,000 people at its peak. Then we travel west to Palenque, nestled in the hills of Chiapas, Mexico. Palenque is a city of elegance and artistry. Its buildings are adorned with some of the most intricate and beautiful stucco reliefs and stone carvings in the Maya world. Here, in the Temple of the Inscriptions, The great King Pakal was laid to rest in a magnificent sarcophagus, its lid telling the story of his journey through the underworld and his rebirth as a god. Palenque is where the stone itself speaks, telling us stories of kings, queens, and cosmic events. Further south, in Honduras, lies Tzolk'in, often called the Athens of the Maya world. Why? Because of its incredible art. Tzolk'in is famous for its steely toll, sculpted stone monuments covered in hieroglyphic writing and portraits of its rulers. The hieroglyphic stairway at Tzolk'in is a masterpiece, containing the longest known Maya text, chronicling the history of the city's dynasty. The detail and realism of the sculptures here are simply unparalleled, giving us a lifelike glimpse into the faces of the Maya elite. And of course, we must visit the legendary Chichen Itza in the Yucatan Peninsula. Here, Maya culture blended with influences from other Mesoamerican peoples, creating a unique and powerful city. The Great Pyramid of El Castillo, also known as the Temple of Kukulkan, is a marvel of astronomical alignment. Twice a year, during the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun casts a shadow that creates the illusion of a serpent slithering down the pyramid's northern breathtaking fusion of architecture, astronomy, and religious belief. For the Maya, these cities weren't just places to live. They were living, breathing representations of the cosmos. The layout of the buildings, the orientation of the temples, everything was designed to mirror the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars. This brings us to one of the most brilliant aspects of Maya culture: their understanding of time. They didn't just have one calendar. They had several, all interwoven in a complex system. The most famous are the 260-day sacred calendar, known as the Tzolk'in, and the 365-day solar calendar, the Haab. Together, they formed the calendar round, a 52-year cycle. They believed that when a cycle ended, the universe could be destroyed and recreated. Their obsession with time wasn't just for record-keeping. It was essential for everything. Their calendar dictated the precise time for planting and harvesting their precious maize, ensuring the survival of their people. It told them when to hold religious festivals and ceremonies to honor the gods and maintain cosmic balance. Every major event, from the birth of a king to the waging of a war, was planned according to auspicious dates in the calendar. Time wasn't a linear progression from past to future. It was cyclical, a repeating pattern of divine energy that influenced every aspect of life. Understanding and tracking these cycles was the key to maintaining harmony between the human world and the cosmos. The world of the Maya was a universe of towering pyramids, sacred cenotes, and fields of life-giving maize. It was a civilization built on a profound understanding of their environment and a masterful grasp of time and the cosmos. Their cities were not just ruins of a lost world. They are enduring testaments to a people who carved a brilliant legacy into the very heart of the jungle. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the Maya world. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. We have so much more to explore together. See you next time. Have you ever felt that some days just have a certain energy? A Monday that feels like a struggle, or a Friday that feels full of promise? For the ancient Maya, this wasn't just a feeling. It was a cosmic reality. Welcome back to our journey into the heart of the Maya world. Today, we're exploring something truly profound: their sacred understanding of time. Forget the ticking clocks and digital calendars we're used to. For the Maya, time wasn't a linear track from past to future. It was a living, breathing entity. Imagine that every single day possessed its own soul, its own unique spirit, and a pre-written destiny. Time wasn't something to be managed or conquered. It was a divine force to be lived in harmony with. This belief shaped every aspect of their society, from the planting of a single corn seed to the crowning of a king. At the core of this worldview was the Tzolk'in, the 260-day sacred calendar. This wasn't just for scheduling festivals. Think of it as a spiritual guide, a cosmic map for daily life. It was composed of 2 interlocking cycles, a cycle of 20, each with a specific patron god or glyph, and a cycle of 30 numbers. When you combine them, you get 260 unique day combinations, each with its own special energy and meaning. For example, a day might be 1 Imix. Imix was the day of the water lily monster, symbolizing the primal, chaotic beginnings of creation. Being born on this day might mean you had a creative, if somewhat unpredictable, nature. Another day could be 7 a.m. Ahau represents the Lord, the sun god, a symbol of royalty and enlightenment. The number 7, sitting in the middle of the 13-day cycle, represented a peak of power and balance. So, a day like 7 Aha was considered incredibly auspicious, a perfect day for coronations or major ceremonies. Priests, known as Daykeepers, were the masters of this sacred knowledge. They were a combination of astronomers, mathematicians, and spiritual advisors. It was their job to interpret the Tzolk'in, to understand the character of each day. They would be consulted for everything. When should we plant the maize? The daykeeper would look for a day associated with growth and fertility. When is the best day to get married? They'd find a day ruled by gods of union and harmony. When should a king ascend a throne or go to war? Only on a day that promised victory and power. This meant that for the average Maya person, their life was woven directly into these divine cycles. Your birth date on the Tzolk'in calendar wasn't just a date. It defined your very essence, your personality traits, your strengths, and the challenges you would face. It was your spiritual DNA. This destiny wasn't a rigid prison. However, it was a path. By understanding the energies of the days, and by performing the correct rituals and offerings, you could navigate your life in a way that aligned with the cosmos, ensuring balance and prosperity. But the Tzolk'in was just one layer. The Maya also used the Haab, a 365-day solar calendar. Much like our own, it had 18 months of 20 days each, plus a special 5-day period at the end called the Waib. This was a highly precarious time. The Maya believed that during the Waib, the portals between the mortal world and the underworld were thrown open. It was a time of chaos and danger, a time to stay home, fast, and avoid any risky business. They believed malevolent spirits roamed the earth, and you had to be extremely careful not to attract their attention. Now, here's where the genius of the Maya system truly shines. They combined the 260-day Tzolk'in with the 365-day Haab to create a grander cycle known as the calendar round. Imagine 2 gears, one with 260 teeth, and one with 365, turning together. It takes 52 years for them to return to the exact same starting position. This 52-year cycle was hugely significant. Reaching the end of a calendar round was like celebrating a new century, but on a much deeper, more spiritual level. It was a time for massive renewal ceremonies, for extinguishing all old fires and lighting new ones, symbolizing the death of an old era and the birth of a new one. This belief that time was cyclical, not linear, is fundamental. We tend to see time as a straight road, constantly moving forward into an unknown future, leaving the past behind forever. For the Maya, time was a great wheel, constantly turning. The past wasn't gone. It was simply on another part of the wheel, destined to come around again. TAT, prophecies, and events of previous cycles were studied intensely, because they held the keys to understanding the present and the future. If a certain celestial alignment had brought a drought centuries ago, they would watch for that same alignment with great concern. This intricate dance of calendars reveals a profound truth about the Maya worldview. Everything was interconnected. The movements of the stars, the changing of the seasons, the birth of a child, the rule of a kingate was all part of a single cosmic rhythm. The gods weren't distant beings in some faraway heaven. They were active participants in the daily flow of time. Each day was governed by a specific deity, and living your life was a continuous act of honoring and appeasing these divine forces. So, when a Maya farmer looked up at the sun, they didn't just see a star. They saw the god Kinijahau on his daily journey across the sky. When they planted corn, they weren't just farming. They were participating in a sacred cycle of death and rebirth, mirroring the journey of the maize god. Every moment, from sunrise to sunset, was imbued with spiritual significance. There was no separation between the sacred and the secular. Life itself was a ceremony. This is the sacred meaning of time for the Maya universe, not of random events, but of divine order, cosmic balance, and endless cycles of renewal. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Maya cosmology. It's a fascinating way to look at the world, isn't it? If you enjoyed this, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more journeys into the past. We'd love to have you in our community. See you in the next chapter. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt a sense of wonder? A connection to something ancient and vast? Imagine doing that not just for curiosity, but for survival. For your entire understanding of the cosmos. Thousands of years ago, in the heart of Mesoamerica, the earliest Mayan communities did just that. This is the story of how simple skygazing evolved into one of the most sophisticated astronomical sciences of the ancient world. Welcome back to our journey into the Mayan civilization. In this chapter, we're exploring the very origins of their celestial obsession. It all began in the first small villages, long before the Great Pyramids pierced the jungle canopy. For these early agricultural societies, the sky was the ultimate guide. The rising and setting of the sun wasn't just a beautiful sight. It was the clock that dictated when to plant and when to harvest. They watched the moon wax and wane, its steady rhythm marking the passage of weeks and months, a reliable calendar in a world of uncertainty. But the Maya didn't stop at the sun and moon. They noticed other wonders in the sky, particularly a brilliantly bright star that appeared in the morning and evening. We know it today as the planet Venus, but to the Maya, it was a powerful deity, a celestial being with a complex and dual nature. They meticulously tracked its journey across the heavens, noting its patterns, its disappearances, and its This wasn't just casual observation. It was the beginning of a scientific database, recorded not on paper, but in the collective memory of the people. These keen observations weren't just abstract knowledge. The Maya began to physically shape their world according to the cosmos. They built what we might consider the first rudimentary observatories, not grand stone towers yet, but simple, strategically placed structures. Perhaps it was a pair of posts on a hill, aligned to mark the exact point on the horizon where the sun would rise on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, or maybe a doorway in a hut, perfectly framed to capture the first light of the vernal equinox. Archaeologists have found evidence that entire villages were laid out in alignment with these crucial astronomical events. The main plaza might be oriented to face the sunrise on the solstices, turning the whole community into a giant, living calendar. Imagine living in a town where the very streets you walk are a map of the heavens, where the architecture itself tells a story about the cycles of time. This physical connection made the cosmos an intimate part of daily life. As their society grew more complex, so did their understanding of the sky. The heavens became a sacred book, a divine text written in light. Every star cluster told a story, a myth passed down through generations. The Milky Way wasn't just a band of light, it was the Wakachan, the world tree, a celestial axis connecting the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. The movements of the planets weren't random. They were prophecies, messages from the gods about war, rain, and the fate of kings. This deep integration of astronomy and spirituality laid the foundation for everything that would follow. The obsession with Cyclesta, 260-day sacred calendar, the 365-day solar calendar, and the monumental long countal grew from these early roots of watching, recording, and interpreting the sky. The priests and shamans who held this knowledge became powerful figures, the keepers of time itself. They could predict eclipses, which were seen as terrifying but powerful omens. They could chart the path of Venus with astonishing accuracy, linking its cycles to earthly events. Think about the sheer dedication this required. Without telescopes, without computers, they used only their naked eyes. Simple tools like crossed sticks for sighting, and an unshakable belief that the sky held the answers to life's most profound questions. They built a system so precise that their calculations of the lunar month and the solar year were, in some cases, more accurate than those used by their European contemporaries centuries later. This fusion of science and religion is what makes Mayan astronomy so fascinating. It wasn't a dry, academic pursuit. It was a living, breathing part of their culture, influencing their art, their architecture, their politics, and their very perception of reality. The sky was not a separate realm to be studied from a distance. It was interwoven with the fabric of existence. The king's authority was tied to his ability to mediate between the earthly and celestial realms, his rituals timed to cosmic events. So, as we prepare to delve into the great observatories of cities like Chichen Itza and the complexities of the Mayan calendars, it's crucial to remember where it all started. It began with a farmer standing in a field of maize, looking up at the moon and wondering. It began with a village elder, marking the shadow of a post to know when the seasons would turn. It began with a profound human instinct to find order in the chaos, to read the stories written in the stars, and to find our place within the grand cosmic dance. The Maya took this instinct and, over centuries, transformed it into a legacy of scientific and spiritual genius that continues to inspire AD. Thank you so much for joining us for this chapter. If you're fascinated by the intersection of ancient wisdom and science, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next episode, where we'll explore the sophisticated mathematics that powered this incredible astronomical engine. We'll see you then. Welcome back to our journey through the wonders of the Mayan civilization. In this chapter, we delve into one of their most profound and enigmatic creations, the 260-day ritual calendar, known as the Tzolk'in. This wasn't just a way to mark time, it was the very pulse of their spiritual and daily lives. Imagine a calendar so deeply woven into the fabric of society that it dictates your name, foretells your destiny, and guides your every major decision. This was the power of the Tzolk'in. The Tzolk'in is a fascinating system, completely distinct from our familiar 365-day solar year. It's composed of two interlocking cycles. The first is a cycle of 30 numbers, from 1 to 30 numbers. The second is a cycle of 20, named days, each with its own unique glyph and meaning. These day names are beautifully evocative, representing elements of the natural and spiritual world. Imix for the water lily, Ik for wind, Cain for ripe maize, and so on. How did these two cycles work together? Picture two gears, one with 13 teeth and the other with 20. As they turn, a number combines with a day name. So, you start with 1 Emix. The next day is 2 Ik, then 3 Aikbel, and so on. After you reach 13 Ben, the number cycle resets to 1, but the Dene cycle continues. So, the next day is 1 Ix. This continues until both cycles return to their starting point, which happens precisely every 260 days. Each of these 260 combinations, like Forajaw or 8 Manic, was a unique day with its own specific energy, prophecy, and influence. It was a cosmic rhythm that every Maya understood. This calendar was the domain of the spiritual leaders, the Daykeepers, or asterisk, Akanian. Asterisk. These highly respected individuals were masters of the Tzolk'in. They were astronomers, mathematicians, and shamans, all in one. Their role was to interpret the energies of each day and advise the community. They would consult the calendar to determine the most auspicious moments for life's most important events. When should we plant the corn to ensure a bountiful harvest? When is the best day for a young couple to marry? When should a new king ascend to the throne? The answers were found within the intricate patterns of the Tzolk'in. One of the most personal and profound uses of the Tzolk'in was in naming ceremonies. A child's name was often derived from the day on which they were born. This wasn't just a label. It was believed to reveal the child's innate character, their strengths, their weaknesses, and even their destiny. A person born on a Cain day might be destined for abundance, while someone born on an Ik day might have a restless, free-spirited nature. Your birth date on the Tzolk'in was your cosmic identity, a guide to understanding your place in the universe. It connected you, from the moment of your birth, to the sacred cycles of time. The Tzolk'in also governed the entire religious life of the Maya. It scheduled major festivals and ceremonies, creating a predictable rhythm of community celebration and worship. Each day's energy dictated the type of rituals to be performed, the offerings to be made, and the gods to be honored. These weren't random holidays. They were precisely timed events, designed to maintain balance and harmony between the human world and the divine realm. The calendar ensured that the community was constantly engaged in a dialogue with the cosmos, reinforcing their worldview and their connection to the sacred. But where did this mysterious 260-day cycle come from? This is one of the great puzzles of Mesoamerican studies. Unlike the 365-day Haab calendar, which is clearly based on the solar year, The origin of the 260-day count isn't immediately obvious. One compelling theory links it to the human gestation period, which is roughly 260 days. This would symbolically tie the calendar to the very cycle of human life, creation, and birth. Another theory suggests it relates to astronomical cycles, perhaps the zenith passages of the sun in the Mayan heartland, or even cycles of Venus or Mars. It might even be a combination of mathematical and agricultural significance. Whatever its origin, its importance is undeniable. It was a sacred count that resonated deeply with the Mayan understanding of life itself. Think about our modern lives. We have calendars for work, for social events, for appointments. But the Tzolk'in was something more. It was a spiritual compass. It was a guide that infused every single day with meaning and purpose. It wasn't about efficiency or productivity. It was about living in harmony with the energies of the universe. To wake up and know that today is, for example, 5 Kimi, the day of transformation. And to understand what that meant for your actions, your thoughts, and your interactions with others, that is a profoundly different way of experiencing time. Their lives were not separated from their spirituality. They were one and the same, and the Tzolk'in was the thread that wove them together. From the planting of a seed in the ground to the naming of a newborn child, from a personal journey to a great state festival, this sacred calendar provided the structure and meaning. It was a daily reminder that they were part of a grand, cosmic order, a beautiful and intricate dance of numbers, names, and divine energies. As we continue, we'll see how this remarkable calendar worked in tandem with their solar calendar. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the sacred rhythm of the Tzolk'in. If you're finding this journey as fascinating as I am, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. We'll see you in the next chapter. Welcome, Bike History Explorers. Today, we're diving deeper into the brilliant timekeeping systems of the Maya, moving beyond the sacred Tzolk'in to explore its practical counterpart, the Haab calendar. If the Tzolk'in was the spiritual heartbeat of Maya society, the Haab was its everyday pulse, guiding agriculture, civic life, and the rhythm of the seasons. So, how did this ingenious calendar work, and what can it tell us about the Maya worldview? Let's find out. The Haab calendar is what we call a solar calendar. Its primary job was to track the Earth's journey around the sun, which, as you know, takes about 365 days. The Maya, with their incredible observational skills, calculated this with stunning precision. They structured the Haab into 18 months, each with a neat 20 days. If you do the math, 18 times 20 gives you 360 days. But wait, what about the other 5¼ days? This is where it gets fascinating. The Maya accounted for the remaining 5 days with a special, short period known as the Wayib. These 5 days were considered separate from the regular months. They were a time of transition, a pause between the end of one solar cycle and the beginning of the next. But the Wayib wasn't a time for celebration. It was viewed with a sense of apprehension and reverence. Why were these days considered unlucky or delicate? Imagine the world holding its breath. During the Wayib, the Maya believed the barriers between the mortal world and the spiritual realm became thin. It was a time when portals could open and malevolent spirits might wander the earth. Consequently, people stayed home, avoided major undertakings, and engaged in rituals to protect themselves and their communities. They wouldn't start a journey, get married, or even comb their hair, fearing it would attract bad fortune. It was a period of stillness, purification, and waiting for the world to be reborn with the start of the new year. The main function of the Haab was profoundly practical. For a civilization built on agriculture, knowing when to plant and when to harvest was a matter of survival. The Haab was the farmer's ultimate almanac. By tracking the sun's position throughout the year, its highest point at the summer solstice, its lowest at the winter solstice, and its passage through the equinox, the Maya could accurately predict the return of the rainy season, crucial for their staple crop, maize. This calendar told them when the soil was ready, when the rains would come to water their fields, and when it was time to gather the fruits of their labor. Each of the 18 months had its own name and glyph, often associated with a specific agricultural activity or natural event happening at that time of year. For example, the month Pop marked the beginning of the year, a time for community-wide renewal and cleansing ceremonies. Other months might correspond to the clearing of fields, the planting of seeds, or the flourishing of certain plants. This wasn't just abstract timekeeping. It was a living guide, deeply intertwined with the natural world. The names of the Haab months are evocative. We have Popmut, Woe-Black conjunction, Sipred conjunction, Sotspat, Sek unknown, and Zul. Duh. So, you have the 260-day Tzolk'in for sacred rituals, and the 365-day Haab for civil and agricultural matters. Did the Maya use them separately? Absolutely not. The true genius of their system lies in how they wove these two calendars together. This combination created a much larger cycle known as the calendar round. Think of it like two interlocking gears of different sizes. One gear has 260 teeth at Tzolk'in, and the other has 365 teeth of the Haab. A specific date was identified by its position in both calendars. For instance, a day might be 4 Aha on the Tzolk'in and 8 Kumq on the Haab. How long would it take for this exact combination of dates, for Aha 8 Kumq, to repeat itself? The answer is 18,980 days, which is approximately 52 years. This 52-year cycle, the calendar round, was a hugely significant period in Mesoamerican cultures. Reaching the end of a calendar round was like celebrating a new century. It was a time for massive new fire ceremonies, where all fires were extinguished and then ritually relit to symbolize the renewal of the world and the community's contract with the gods. It marked the passing of a full human generation. This dual calendar system reveals something profound about the Maya philosophy of time. For them, time wasn't just a linear progression of past, present, and future. It was cyclical, sacred, and deeply personal. Every day had a unique energy and character, defined by its place in both the divine and earthly cycles. The Haab grounded them in the physical world of sun and rain, while the Tzolk'in connected them to the spiritual cosmos. Together, they provided a complete map for navigating life, ensuring harmony between humans, nature, and the gods. The Haab calendar, with its practical agricultural focus and the ominous Wayeb days, shows us a people who are not only master astronomers but also deeply attuned to the rhythms of their environment. It is a testament to their ability to create a system that was both scientifically precise and spiritually meaningful. It governed the planting of corn, the collecting of taxes, the waging of war, and the celebration of life, all while acknowledging those few precarious days when the universe itself seemed to pause. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the Haab calendar. The Maya understanding of time was incredibly complex, and we've only just scratched the surface. If you enjoyed this exploration, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into ancient wisdom. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next episode, where we'll venture into an even grander cycle. The long count. Say you. 10. Have you ever thought about how ancient civilizations measured the grand sweep of time, not just in days or years, but across entire generations? The ancient Maya had a truly brilliant system for this, and it's called the calendar round. It's one of the most fascinating concepts in all of history, a beautiful marriage of two distinct timekeeping systems. So, how did it work? Imagine two gears, one small and one large, turning together. The smaller gear is the Tzolk'in, the 260-day sacred calendar. Think of it as the spiritual heartbeat of Mayan life, guiding rituals and destinies. The larger gear is the Haab, the 365-day solar calendar. This was their everyday calendar, tracking the seasons, the planting, and the harvesting, the practical rhythm of life. Now, when you combine these two calendars, these two gears, something amazing happens. Let's say you start on a specific day. For example, a day named for Aha in the Tzolk'in, and 8 Kumq in the Haab. Because the two calendars have different lengths, 260 days and 365 days, they turn at different rates. The exact same combination of 4 Aha, 8 Kumq will not repeat until both calendars have completed a full cycle and aligned perfectly once again. And how long does that take? Exactly 18,980 days. T's period of 80,980 days is what the Maya called the calendar round. When you divide that by 365 days, you get 52 years. That's right, 52er. cycle. For the Maya, this wasn't just a number, it was a lifetime. A full calendar round was equivalent to a generation. A person who lived past 52 years was considered truly wise, having completed one full century of Mayan time. The completion of a calendar round was a monumental event. It was a time of immense significance, celebrated with profound rituals and ceremonies. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. Think of it like the biggest New Year's celebration you can imagine, but happening only once every 52 years. These ceremonies were all about renewal. It was a time to extinguish old fires and light new ones, a symbolic act of leaving the past behind and embracing a fresh start. Homes were thoroughly cleaned, old pottery was broken, and new clothes were worn. It was a society-wide reset button. This ritual, often called the New Fire Ceremony, symbolized the casting off of the old and the welcoming of a renewed world, a new cycle of life. This 52-year cycle gave Mayan society a unique sense of rhythm and continuity. It connected individuals to their ancestors and to future generations. Imagine being a child and hearing stories from your grandparents about the last calendar round ceremony. Then, 52 years later, you would be the elder, sharing your own memories with your grandchildren as you all prepare for the next grand renewal. It created a powerful, living link through time. The calendar round was deeply woven into the fabric of Mayan life, influencing everything from royal successions to the founding of cities. Rulers often timed their most important actions, like coronations or military campaigns, to align with significant dates within this cycle. It was as if the entire civilization was moving in sync with this grand cosmic clock. This system demonstrates the incredible intellectual achievements of the Maya. They weren't just observing the stars, they were creating a complex, multi-layered framework to understand their place in the universe. The calendar round wasn't just about marking time, it was about living within time, experiencing its cycles of ending and beginning, and finding meaning in its grand, repeating patterns. It was the heartbeat of a civilization, a 52-year rhythm that defined Mayan existence for centuries. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of Mayan timekeeping. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the wonders of ancient history. We have so much more to explore together. See you in the next video. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we re-diving deep into one of the most fascinating and misunderstood concepts from the ancient world, the Maya long count calendar. Forget everything you thought you knew from the 2012 doomsday hype. The real story is so much bigger, so much more profound. It's not about an ending, it's about eternity. So, how did the Maya perceive time on a scale that dwarfs our own lifetimes? While they had the Haab and the Tzolk'in calendars for daily life and ritual, they needed something more, cosmic. They needed a way to place their history and their future into a grand, cyclical narrative. This is where the long count comes in. Think of it as a massive, celestial odometer, tracking the immense journey of time itself. Let's break down how this incredible system works. It's a nested structure, like Russian dolls, but for time. The smallest unit, the foundation of it all, is the *kin*. One *kin* is simply one day. Pretty straightforward, right? Next up, we have the asterisk. Winal asterisk. A asterisk. Winal asterisk is a period of 20 *kins*, or 20 days. This base 20 system, known as a vigesimal system, is key to understanding Maya mathematics and their calendar. They didn't count in tens like we do. They counted in 20s. From there, we get to the asterisk ton. Asterisk A. Asterisk ton asterisk consists of 18 asterisk. Now, you might be thinking, wait, we 18. I thought it was based, and you're right to ask. 18 times 20 gives us 360 days. This 360-day period the asterisk was a kind of prophetic year or computational year. It was a close approximation of the solar year, but mathematically much cleaner to work with in their larger system. Now we start getting into the bigger cycles. 20 tons make up 1 katan A asterisk Catan asterisk is 7,200 days, or just under 20 years. For the Maya, a asterisk Catan asterisk was a significant block of time. Rulers would celebrate the end of a asterisk Catan asterisk, erecting monuments called stelae to commemorate the event and their achievements during that period. It was like celebrating the turn of a decade, but on a much grander scale. And finally, the largest unit we commonly see in their inscriptions, the asterisk backed in asterisk. One asterisk backed in asterisk is made of 20 asterisks. Catan's asterisk, that's a staggering 144,000 days, or roughly 394 years. Think about that. A single asterisk backed in asterisk is longer than the entire history of the United States. For the Maya, history wasn't just a list of kings and battles. It was a sequence of these immense asterisks, bucked on asterisk cycles. So, a typical long count date would be written out as a series of 5 numbers. For example, a date might look like this: 13.0.0.0.0. This translates to 13 asterisk, Bactans asterisk, 0 por K, Atuns, 0 asterisk, Tons asterisk, 0 asterisk, Iwanels asterisk, and 0 asterisk Kins asterisk. This specific date is significant because it marks the end of a great cycle, a period of 13 asterisk. Bactans asterisk, this brings us back to the 2012 phenomenon. The date, December 21st, 2012, corresponded to the completion of the 13th asterisk Bactan asterisk in the current great cycle. For the Maya, this wasn't an apocalypse. It was a moment of profound renewal, the turning of a major cosmic page. It was the end of one massive cycle and the beginning of another, just as a asterisk Catan asterisk ending was a time for commemoration and renewal. The idea of total destruction was a modern invention projected onto their beliefs. The starting point for this current great cycle, the zero date, is set at 0.0. This system gave the Maya an incredible sense of their place in the universe. They saw themselves as actors in a grand, repeating drama. Events in one cycle could be seen as echoes or prophecies of events in another. Rulers would often link their own actions to those of mythological ancestors from previous cycles to legitimize their power. The long count was both history and prophecy, a way of understanding the present by looking at the deep past and projecting into the far future. It wasn't just a way to count days. It was a philosophy embedded in numbers. It connected the human realm to the divine, the fleeting moments of life to the enduring cycles of the cosmos. By tracking time on this scale, the Maya weren't just planning for the harvest. They were mapping eternity itself. This ability to conceive of and mathematically track such vast periods of time is a testament to their incredible intellectual and cultural achievements. It's a perspective that challenges our own linear, finite view of history and invites us to think on a much, much grander scale. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey into cosmic time. It's truly mind-bending stuff, isn't it? If you enjoyed this and want to explore more incredible ideas from ancient cultures, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you in the next one. Welcome back to our journey through history's greatest minds and their groundbreaking ideas. Today, we're diving deep into Chapter 9, a story that fundamentally changed the world of mathematics and our understanding of the universe. We're talking about the invention of zero. Now, when you think of zero, what comes to mind? Nothing. A placeholder. It's something we take for granted every single day. But imagine a world without it. Imagine trying to write the number 107 without a zero. How would you do it? 17. That's 17. It becomes incredibly confusing, right? For centuries, many of the world's most advanced civilizations, including the Romans, wrestled with this very problem. Their number systems were clunky and inefficient for large calculations. But far across the Atlantic, deep in the jungles of Mesoamerica, an incredible intellectual revolution was taking place. Centuries before Europe even grappled with the concept, the Maya civilization not only conceived of zero but gave it a symbol and integrated it into their daily lives. This wasn't just a mathematical curiosity, it was a cornerstone of their culture, their science, and their cosmos. The Maya symbol for zero is beautiful, an elegant stylized shell glyph. It's one of the most important symbols in human history. A shell. Some scholars believe it represents a closed fist, signifying completion, or perhaps an empty snail shell, a perfect visual metaphor for emptiness. Whatever its origin, this humble shell represented a monumental leap in abstract thought. The idea of a value for nothing. It was the recognition that emptiness itself could be quantified. But the Maya didn't just invent zero as a concept. They put it to work in a truly brilliant way. They developed a sophisticated base 20, or viesimal number system. You and I use a base 10 system, probably because we have 10 fingers. The Maya likely used both their fingers and their toes. This base 20 system, combined with zero, allowed them to create a positional notation system. This is the same principle we use today. The position of a digit determines its value. In the number 202, the first 2 means 200, while the last 2 means just 2. The zero in the middle is what makes it all work. The Maya were doing this over 1,000 years before the concept became common in Europe. This system wasn't just for counting their cacao beans, either. It was the engine behind one of their greatest achievements, their calendar. The Maya were obsessed with time. They didn't just see it as a linear progression, but as a complex, cyclical dance of cosmic energies. To track these cycles, they needed to calculate vast spans of time with pinpoint accuracy, stretching millions of years into the past and future. Without zero, this would have been impossible. Their positional system allowed them to handle enormous numbers with ease. The famous Maya long count calendar, which tracks time from a mythical creation date, relies entirely on this system. It enabled them to predict celestial events like eclipses with staggering precision, and to align their magnificent pyramids and temples with the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. It was a fusion of mathematics, astronomy, and spirituality, all powered by the simple, elegant idea of a shell. Think about the intellectual brilliance this represents. In an era without computers or calculators, the Maya were performing complex astronomical calculations that European scholars would struggle with centuries later. Their invention of zero wasn't an isolated stroke of genius. It was part of a holistic worldview that saw mathematics as the language of the cosmos. It demonstrates a level of abstract thinking and intellectual sophistication that was truly unique for their time. While other cultures, like the Babylonians, had used placeholder symbols, the Maya were among the very first to treat zero as a true number or quantity in its own right. This conceptual leap allowed their mathematics to flourish. It was the key that unlocked a deeper understanding of time and space, enabling them to build a civilization that was, in many ways, far ahead of its contemporaries. So, the next time you effortlessly type a zero on your keyboard or glance at your digital clock, take a moment to remember the ancient Maya. Remember the astronomers and scribes who, surrounded by the jungle, looked up at the stars and conceived of a symbol for nothingness, and in doing so, gave us a tool to understand everything. It's a powerful reminder that groundbreaking ideas can come from anywhere, at any time, often from the places we least expect. The story of the shell glyph is not just a chapter in the history of math. It's a testament to the boundless ingenuity of the human mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of one of history's most important inventions. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious. Have you ever looked at an ancient temple and wondered what secrets it holds? What if I told you some of them are actually giant, cosmic clocks? The Maya masters of time didn't just track the days in books. They carved their understanding of the cosmos directly into stone, creating monuments that are as much calendars as they are places of worship. This is where architecture meets astronomy, and the results are simply Welcome back to our journey into the world of the Maya. Today, in Chapter 10, we're exploring temples as cosmic clocks. Forget your digital watches and wall calendars. For the Maya, time wasn't something you just observed. It was something you experienced, something you could walk through and touch. Their cities were designed to be living almanacs, with pyramids and plazas precisely aligned to the heavens. Think about that for a second. These incredible structures weren't just randomly placed. They were meticulously planned to capture specific celestial events, the rising and setting of the sun on the longest and shortest days of the year, The solstices were marked by the alignment of doorways and windows. The equinoxes, when day and night are of equal length, were celebrated with architectural light shows that modern engineers would marvel at. And it wasn't just about the sun. The Maya were obsessed with the movements of the planets, especially Venus, which they associated with warfare and royalty. Temples were built to track its complex cycle, with specific windows or openings designed to perfectly frame Venus at key points in its journey across the sky. They were literally building observatories into their sacred spaces, merging science and spirituality in a way that feels incredibly profound. This wasn't just for show. These alignments had deep practical and religious significance. Knowing the exact day of the solstice or equinox was crucial for agriculture. It told them when to plant and when to harvest. But it was also about maintaining cosmic balance. By aligning their earthly world with the celestial one, the Maya believed they were harmonizing their society with the will of the gods and the rhythm of the universe. Their rulers were seen as the conduits of this cosmic order, their power reinforced by their ability to control, or at least predict, these celestial events. So, how did they do it? With incredible precision. Using simple tools like crossed sticks for sighting lines, they achieved an accuracy that is astonishing even today. They would observe the horizon day after day, year after year, marking the positions of celestial bodies and then using that data to orient their most important buildings. It was a testament to their patience, their mathematical genius, and their deep, unwavering focus on the passage of time. Perhaps the most famous example of this architectural timekeeping is the magnificent El Castillo, or the Temple of Kukulkan at Chichén Itzá. This pyramid is more than just a stunning piece of architecture. It's a monumental calendar. Each of its 4 stairways has 91 steps. If you multiply 91 by 4 and add the top platform, which counts as one more step, you get 365, the exact number of days in a solar year. Coincidence? Not a chance, but the real magic happens twice a year, on the spring and fall equinoxes. As the afternoon sun begins to set, a remarkable spectacle unfolds. The corner of the pyramid casts a series of triangular shadows onto the balustrade of the northern staircase. As the sun moves, these triangles merge to form the body of a massive serpent, which appears to slither down the side of the pyramid, eventually connecting with the giant stone serpent head at the base. Can you imagine witnessing that? It's not a projection. It's a deliberate, calculated play of light and shadow. The serpent represents the feathered serpent god, Kukul, who is believed to descend to the earth on these special days. This isn't just a calendar. It's a divine event brought to life through stone. It's a public announcement that the seasons are changing, a visual confirmation of cosmic order, and a powerful display of the ruler's connection to the gods. It is, quite literally, a living calendar built into the very fabric of the pyramid. And Chichén Itzá isn't the only place. At the site of Uxkhakten, an entire architectural complex was designed as a solar observatory. From atop one pyramid, a ruler could watch the sun rise perfectly behind 3 different temples on the eastern plaza, marking the solstices and equinoxes. This setup allowed them to precisely define the solar year and regulate their agricultural and ceremonial calendars. These cosmic clocks reveal a worldview where there was no separation between the physical world and the spiritual realm. The universe was a single, interconnected system, and the Maya saw their role as active participants in maintaining its balance. Their temples weren't just static monuments to the past. They were dynamic instruments designed to engage with the present and predict the future. They were places where time, space, and divinity all converged. By building the cycles of the sun, moon, and planets into their cities, the Maya created a world where every sunrise and every planetary alignment was a reminder of their place in the cosmos. Their temples weren't just pointing to the heavens. They were an extension of the heavens on Earth. They were a way of making the abstract concept of time tangible, visible, and deeply meaningful for everyone in the community. So, the next time you see a picture of a Maya pyramid, don't just see a pile of stones. See a clock. See an observatory. See a calendar. See the incredible ingenuity of a civilization that did not just watch time go by. They built it into their world. leaving behind a legacy that continues to align with the stars thousands of years later. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of Maya architectural astronomy. It's truly humbling to see how they connected their world to the wider cosmos. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next chapter. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time. Ever wondered who held the keys to time in the ancient Maya civilization? Forget smartwatches and digital calendars. The Maya had something far more profound. The Archaean, the sacred priests of time. These weren't just religious figures. They were astronomers, mathematicians, and the living heart of their society's intricate worldview. Let's delve into the world of these masters of the cosmos. The name Tzolk'in literally means he of the sun, or he of the day. This title perfectly captures their central role. They were the keepers of the sacred calendars, most notably the 260-day Tzolk'in and the 365-day Haab, but their job went far beyond simply marking days. They were the interpreters of time, the ones who could read the language of the stars and the cycles of the gods. Imagine a life where every major decision, from when to plant maize to when to go to war, from when to build a temple to when a king should ascend the throne, was guided by the cosmos. This was the reality for the Maya, and the Archaean were the ones providing that guidance. They memorized vast amounts of knowledge, passed down through generations, about the movements of the sun, moon, planets, and stars. They were masters of complex calculations, able to predict solar and lunar eclipses with stunning accuracy. Their knowledge was a powerful blend of science and spirituality. To them, astronomy wasn't a cold, detached observation of celestial bodies. Each planet, each constellation, was a deity, a living force with its own personality and influence on the world. Venus, the morning and evening star, was particularly important, often associated with warfare and significant state events. The Archaean tracked its cycles meticulously, believing its appearances signaled pivotal moments. So, how did they do it? Through painstaking, naked-eye observation from specially designed observatories, like the famous Senitsa. They recorded their findings in sacred books called codices. Sadly, most of these were destroyed. But the few that survive, like the Dresden Codex, give us a breathtaking glimpse into their astronomical prowess. The Dresden Codex, for instance, contains incredibly accurate tables for predicting the cycles of Venus and eclipses. This knowledge was not for everyone. It was secreted, the source of immense power and authority. The Archaean were part of the elite ruling class. They advised the rulers, performed crucial ceremonies, and acted as the intermediaries between the human world and the divine realm. Their ability to predict celestial events was seen as proof of their direct line to the gods, solidifying the social and political order. Their role was to maintain balance. The Maya believed the universe operated in grand cycles of creation and destruction. The rituals and ceremonies led by the Archaean were essential to appease the gods and ensure the continuation of the current cosmic cycle. They would conduct elaborate rites involving offerings, music, and dance, all timed perfectly to align with the sacred calendars. These weren't just traditions. They were cosmic maintenance, ensuring the sun would rise, the rains would come, and the world would remain in harmony. The training to become an Archaean was rigorous. It began in youth, with promising students from noble families being taught the intricate arts of mathematics, hieroglyphic writing, astronomy, and history. They had to master the Dotan-bar number system, which included the revolutionary concept of zero, allowing them to calculate immense spans of time. They learned the hundreds of hieroglyphs needed to record their knowledge and perform their sacred duties. Let's think about the weight of their responsibility. Imagine being tasked with predicting the best day for your community to plant their crops. If you were wrong, the harvest could fail, leading to famine. If you misread the signs for a royal ceremony, it could be seen as a terrible omen, destabilizing the entire kingdom. The Archaean lived at the intersection of high science and high stakes. Their wisdom wasn't just abstract. It was the foundation of survival and prosperity. Their influence permeated every aspect of Maya life. When a child was born, an Archaean would be consulted to interpret the child's destiny based on their birth date in the Tzolk'in calendar. Each day had a specific energy an associated deity, and this would shape the child's character and path in life. The priests of time were not just keepers of the calendar. They were weavers of fate, connecting each individual to the grand, cyclical tapestry of the cosmos. The Tzolk'in were the ultimate embodiment of the Maya worldview, where time was not a linear arrow, but a sacred, repeating cycle. They were the scientists who mapped the heavens and the shamans who conversed with the gods. They understood that the universe was a complex, interconnected system, and it was their sacred duty to maintain its delicate balance. They weren't just priests of time. They were its guardians, its interpreters, and its partners. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the world of the Tzolk'in. If you found this fascinating, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next chapter in this incredible story. See you next time. Have you ever looked up at the sky and felt a connection to the stars? For the ancient Maya, one celestial body held a particularly powerful sway over their lives: the planet Venus. Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive into the celestial world of the Maya. And today, we're exploring their profound fascination with the brilliant morning and evening star. To us, Venus is the second planet from the sun, a beautiful, bright point of light in our dawn and dusk skies. But to the Maya, it was much, much more. It wasn't just a planet. It was a powerful deity, a divine messenger and a cosmic clock that dictated the rhythm of life, death, and conflict. They knew it as Chakek, the great star, or Zeuxek, the wasp star. This celestial being was so important that its movements were tracked with astonishing precision, influencing everything from royal ceremonies to the timing of wars. The Maya were master astronomers. Long before the invention of telescopes, they observed the heavens with the naked eye, recording their findings in intricate codices and carving them onto stone monuments. Their understanding of Venus was nothing short of remarkable. They calculated its synodic cycle, the time it takes for Venus to reappear in the same spot in the sky, as seen from Earth, to be 584 days. Modern science puts this number at 583.92 days. Think about that for a moment. With just their eyes and brilliant minds, they achieved a level of accuracy that is staggering even by today's standards. This 584-day cycle became the backbone of one of their most sacred calendars. So, how did this cycle work? The Venus cycle is divided into 4 distinct phases: its appearance as the morning star, its disappearance at superior conjunction when it's behind the sun, its reappearance as the evening star, and finally its disappearance at inferior conjunction when it passes between the earth and the sun. Each of these phases was imbued with deep mythological and astrological meaning. The Maya believed these moments were windows of opportunity, or times of great peril. Let's break down these phases. The first appearance of Venus as the morning star, known as its heliacal rising, was considered an especially dangerous and powerful time. This was when the deity associated with Venus, a form of the god Kayuel, or even the feathered serpent Tzolk'in, was thought to be reborn, emerging from the underworld with a spear in hand. This moment was filled with omens, often negative ones. The light of the newly risen Venus was seen as a weapon, capable of striking down different classes of people, animals, and even crops, depending on the day it occurred in their other calendar systems. Rulers had to perform specific rituals to appease the gods and protect their communities during this precarious time. It was a period of intense spiritual activity, a time to be wary and watchful. In contrast, the period when Venus shone brightly as the evening star was often seen in a more stable, though still powerful, light. It was a time for observation and preparation, leading up to its eventual descent back into the darkness of the underworld. The disappearance of Venus was also significant. When it vanished from the sky, it was believed to be journeying through the underworld, a perilous path filled with trials. Its reemergence was a victory, a symbol of cyclical renewal and cosmic power. This celestial drama wasn't just a story they told around the fire. It had real-world consequences, particularly in the realm of warfare. The Dresden Codex, one of the few surviving Mayan books, contains a detailed Venus almanac. It's essentially a celestial timetable for war. Mayan rulers would often launch battles or conduct important rituals to coincide with specific points in the Venus cycle, especially its first appearance as the morning star. Why? because they believed that aligning their actions with the cosmos would grant them divine favor and ensure victory. Imagine planning a major military campaign not based on troop readiness or weather, but on the precise day a planet appears in the morning sky. That's how deeply Venus was woven into the fabric of Mayan society. This practice is known as Star Wars, among Mayanist scholars a fitting name for conflicts guided by celestial events. Archaeological evidence supports this. Inscriptions at sites like Tzolk'in and Haab on record battles and coronations that were deliberately timed to match the movements of Venus. A famous example is the conquest of the city of Waka by Tzolk'in in the 4th century. The historical records explicitly state that the event happened on the day of the heliacal rising of Venus. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a carefully planned, cosmically sanctioned act of aggression. The sky wasn't just a backdrop, it was an active participant in human history. But Venus wasn't only a harbinger of war. It was also a guide for prophecy and a source of divine knowledge. The cycles of Venus were intertwined with the 260-day sacred calendar, the Tzolk'in, and the 365-day solar calendar, the Haab. The Maya ingeniously aligned these cycles. They discovered that 5 Venus cycles of 584 days equaled 8 solar years of 365 days, both totaling 2,920 days. This calendar-round synchronization allowed them to make long-term prophecies and maintain cosmic harmony. It was a complex, interlocking system of timekeeping that reflected a universe where everything was interconnected. The priests who could interpret these celestial signs held immense power and were revered as conduits to the gods. They were the ones who could read the heavens and advise the rulers on the most auspicious times for planting, harvesting, building, and ruling. The architecture of Mayan cities also reflects this Venusian obsession. Buildings like the Governor's Palace at Uxmal and structures at Chichén Itzá are oriented to track the movements of Venus, particularly its northernmost and southernmost rising and setting points on the horizon. The famous Caracol at Chichén Itzá, a circular observatory, has windows that align perfectly with key Venusian events. These weren't just buildings. They were sophisticated astronomical instruments built on a monumental scale, permanent testaments to their celestial knowledge. Standing in one of these places today, you can still feel that powerful connection to the cosmos that the Maya engineered into their very cities. So, the next time you see that brilliant star hanging in the morning or evening sky, take a moment to think of the Maya. For them, it wasn't just a beautiful sight. It was a god, a guide, a clock, and a weapon. It was a celestial messenger that dictated the fortunes of kings and kingdoms. The Mayan relationship with Venus is a stunning example of how ancient cultures found meaning, order, and power in the skies above. It reminds us that, for much of human history, we have looked to the stars not just with wonder, but for answers. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the Mayan cosmos. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the incredible stories of our past. Let me know in the comments what other ancient mysteries you'd like to uncover together. Until next time, keep looking up. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to find a lost library from a civilization that has long since vanished? A library filled not just with stories, but with the keys to understanding the cosmos itself. Today, we're embarking on a journey back in time, not just to explore ancient ruins, but to read the very books written by the Maya, a civilization renowned for its mastery of time and the stars. Imagine a world where books weren't made of paper, but of the inner bark of fig trees, coated with a fine layer of white plaster and folded like an accordion. These are the Mayan codices, precious few of which survived the ravages of time and conquest. Out of potentially thousands of these books, only a handful remain, and among them, one shines brighter than all the rest, a true masterpiece of ancient science. The Dresden Codex, named after the city in Germany where it has been housed for centuries. The Dresden Codex is our most complete window into the intellectual world of the ancient Maya. When you look at its pages, you're not just seeing strange glyphs and colorful figures. You're looking at one of the most sophisticated astronomical documents of the ancient world. It's a testament to a people who were not just stargazers, but meticulous scientists of the sky. Let's unfold its secrets together. The Codex is essentially a Mayan astronomer's almanac. It contains incredibly precise tables, They predict celestial events with stunning accuracy. One of the most famous sections is the eclipse table. Think about that for a second. The Maya, without telescopes or modern computers, developed a system to forecast solar and lunar eclipses over long periods. They understood the complex cycles of the sun and moon, recognizing the patterns that led to these spectacular cosmic displays. For them, an eclipse wasn't just a random event. It was a predictable, powerful moment steeped in ritual and meaning. They knew when the sky would darken, and their codex told them how to prepare. But their celestial obsession didn't stop with eclipses. The Dresden Codex also contains an entire section dedicated to the planet Venus. The Maya were captivated by Venus, which they associated with their deity Tzolk'in, or Tzolk'in. They tracked its journey as both the morning and evening star with incredible precision. The Venus table in the Codex charts the planet's 584-day cycle, aligning it with both the solar year of 365 days and their own 260-day sacred calendar. This intricate celestial clockwork allowed them to synchronize their rituals and state activities with the heavens. They believed the movements of Venus influenced life on Earth, from warfare to agriculture, and this codex was their guide. What's truly mind-blowing is the accuracy. Modern astronomers have confirmed that the Mayan calculations for the Venus cycle are off by only a few hours over a period of 500 years. This level of precision is simply astonishing, rivaling that of any other ancient civilization and demonstrating a deep, long-term commitment to observational astronomy. They weren't just guessing. They were doing science. They were collecting data over generations, refining their models, and creating a system that was both mathematically elegant and practically useful. Beyond the hard science, the Dresden Codex is also a ritual handbook. The astronomical tables are interwoven with religious ceremonies, prophecies, and the actions of the gods. For the Maya, science and spirituality were not separate. The cosmos was alive, and understanding its rhythms was a sacred duty. The Codex provides instructions for ceremonies to be performed at specific astronomical conjunctions, ensuring harmony between the human world and the divine order of the universe. It's a guide to living in sync with the cosmos. As we marvel at the genius preserved in the Dresden Codex, we must also pause to consider a sobering thought. What we have is just a fragment, a whisper from a lost world of knowledge. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 16th century, they saw these books not as scientific treasures, but as works of pagan idolatry. In a tragic act of cultural destruction, figures like Bishop Diego de Landa ordered the burning of countless Mayan codices. He later wrote about his regret, realizing the immense loss, but the damage was done. Imagine the knowledge that went up in flames. Entire librarias containing centuries of astronomical observations, historical records, medical knowledge, and philosophical thought were turned to ash. The Dresden Codex, along with the few other surviving codices like the Madrid and Paris codices, are the lucky survivors. They are like the last remaining chapters of a vast, epic encyclopedia of a civilization's intellect. They are a powerful reminder of how fragile knowledge can be, how easily the wisdom of ages can be erased by ignorance and intolerance. The story of the Dresden Codex is therefore a story of both triumph and tragedy. It's a celebration of the incredible intellectual achievements of the Maya, their profound connection to the cosmos, and their scientific prowess. But it is also a cautionary tale about the irreversible loss that occurs when one culture seeks to annihilate another. It forces us to ask, what other secrets of the universe did the Maya uncover? What other cycles did they chart? What other mathematical wonders did they achieve? We may never know. What we do know is that these surviving pages are priceless. They challenge our preconceptions about ancient peoples and prove that the quest for knowledge is a universal, human endeavor. The Maya, from their jungle cities, reached for the stars and brought back a level of understanding that continues to astound us today. They remind us that there are many ways to see the world and many ways to understand the universe. So, the next time you look up at the night sky, think of the Mayan astronomers poring over their folded books, tracking the dance of the planets in the shadow of the moon. Their legacy isn't just in stone temples, but in the intricate glyphs of the Dresden Codex, a surviving testament to a civilization that truly mastered time and the cosmos. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey into the heart of Mayan wisdom. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the lost knowledge of our ancestors. Let me know in the comments what you think is the most amazing part of the Dresden Codex. Until next time, keep looking up. Everett looked up at the sky and felt a sense of wonder, a feeling of connection to something ancient, something vast. For us, it's a beautiful sight. But for the ancient Maya, the sky was a clock, a calendar, and a sacred book, all rolled into one. Today, we're re-venturing deep into the heart of the Maya world to uncover how they became some of history's most brilliant astronomers. We're talking about a civilization that could predict solar and lunar eclipses with startling accuracy, centuries before they even happened. How did they do it? And what secrets did their incredible cities hold? Stick around, because we're about to decode the cosmos. Maya. Let's start with a big one. Eclipses. To the Maya, a solar or lunar eclipse wasn't just a cool celestial event. It was a moment of immense power and potential danger. They saw it as a cosmic battle, where the sun or moon was being devoured by a celestial serpent or jaguar. The world could literally end. So, being able to predict these events was not a hobby. It was a matter of cosmic survival. Their priests and astronomers, who were often the same people, dedicated their lives to observing the heavens from their temples. They weren't just stargazing. They were gathering data, meticulously night after night. Generation after generation, they recorded the movements of the sun, the moon, and the planets. This brings us to one of their most remarkable achievements, the Dresden Codex. This ancient screenfold book, one of the very few to survive the Spanish conquest, is like the Mayas' astronomical Bible. It contains incredibly precise tables for tracking the movements of Venus, which was linked to their god of war. But most importantly, it has an eclipse table. This table allowed them to predict when a solar or lunar eclipse might occur with astonishing precision. Think about it. Without telescopes, without computers, they used naked-eye observation and pure mathematical genius to map out these cycles. The Maya understood that eclipses happen in a predictable pattern, roughly every 173.3 days, which is what we now call an eclipse season. By tracking this cycle and combining it with the moon's phases, they could pinpoint danger zones in their calendar when the cosmic jaguar might strike again. This knowledge was power. It allowed the rulers and priests to perform the right rituals at the right time, to appease the gods, and maintain order in the universe. But their mastery of the skies didn't stop with eclipses. The Maya were equally obsessed with the sun's journey across the sky. Throughout the year, they paid incredibly close attention to the solstices and equinoxes. The solstices, the longest and shortest days of the year, marked the extreme positions of the sun on the horizon. The equinoxes, when day and night are of equal length, marked the halfway points. Why was this so important? Well, for an agricultural society, this was everything. The solstices and equinoxes told them exactly when to plant their maize, when to harvest, and when to prepare for the rainy or dry seasons. Their entire calendar system, a complex web of interlocking cycles, was built around this solar rhythm. Their sacred 260-day calendar and the 365-day solar calendar would align every 52 years, a hugely significant event that was celebrated with massive ceremonies. This wasn't just farming advice. It was the sacred heartbeat of their civilization. Now, here's where it gets truly mind-blowing. The Maya didn't just write this knowledge down in books. They built it into the very fabric of their world. Their cities were not just places to live. They were massive, functioning observatories. The architecture itself was a tool for astronomy. Buildings were intentionally and precisely aligned to track celestial events. Take the famous El Castillo, Chichén Itzá, for example. It's not just a pyramid, it's a giant solar calendar. During the spring and fall equinoxes, as the sun sets, the shadow of the pyramid-esque corner creates the illusion of a massive serpent slithering down the northern staircase. It's a breathtaking fusion of art, religion, and astronomical science, designed to signal the changing of the seasons to thousands of onlookers. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a masterclass in architectural engineering and celestial alignment. Another incredible example is the observatory at Chichen Itza, also known as The name Caracal means snail in Spanish, referring to the spiral staircase inside. This building is unique among Maya structures for its round shape. Its windows and doorways are not placed randomly. They align perfectly with key astronomical points. For instance, different windows line up with the northernmost and southernmost setting points of Venus, the setting sun on the solstices, and other key celestial events. Imagine a Maya priest standing within its walls, looking through a specific window to confirm that the cosmos was proceeding as it should, that the gods were in their rightful places, and that the universe was in balance. These buildings were conduits between the earthly realm and the heavens. This blending of science, religion, and art is what makes the Maya so fascinating. For them, there was no separation. Astronomy wasn't a dry, academic subject. It was a sacred duty. The movements of the stars were the language of the gods, and by understanding that language, the Maya believed they could understand their place in the universe and ensure its continuation. Their cities were living testaments to this belief. Giant stone instruments designed to read the celestial score. Every temple, every plaza, was part of a grand cosmic dialogue. They created a world where architecture wasn't just about shelter. It was about connecting with the infinite. So, when we look at the ruins of Tikal Palenque or Chichen Itza, we're not just seeing old stones. We're seeing the remnants of a civilization that saw the universe as a unified, sacred whole. They were scientists who were also priests, architects who were also astronomers. They measured the shadows to understand the sun, tracked the moon to predict its disappearance, and aligned their temples with the stars to live in harmony with the cosmos. They didn't just look at the sky, they built a bridge to it. Their legacy is a powerful reminder that for centuries, long before modern technology, human ingenuity, patience, and a deep sense of wonder were enough to unlock the secrets of the heavens. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the Maya cosmos. If you found this as fascinating as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into the past. Let us know in the comments which ancient civilization as scientific achievements you'd like us to explore next. Until then, keep looking up. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our deep dive into the incredible world of the Maya civilization. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest, most sensationalized myths of the 21st century. The 2012 prophecy. Grab your popcorn, because we're about to separate fact from fiction. Do you remember it? The year 2012. Hollywood movies showed catastrophic disasters. News headlines screamed about doomsday predictions. And for a while there, it seemed like everyone was talking about the end of the world, as predicted by the ancient Maya. There was a palpable sense of anxiety, mixed with a bit of morbid curiosity. People built bunkers, stockpiled supplies, and wondered if December 21st, 2012 would be humanity's last day. But here's the spoiler alert. We're still here. So, what really happened? Where did this massive misunderstanding come from? The source of all this panic was the Maya long count calendar. This wasn't just some simple date calendar. It was a magnificent, complex system for tracking vast stretches of time. Think of it like the odometer in your car. But instead of tracking miles, it tracked days over thousands of years. The calendar was structured in cycles. You had the kin, which is 1 day. 20 kin made a wino. 18 UNLs made a ton, and so on, with larger and larger units like the Kayaton and the Berkton. The specific date that caused all the fuss was the end of the 13th Berkton. The Bukatan is a cycle of roughly 394 years. The grand cycle, starting from what the Maya considered the creation date of the current world, was comprised of 13 of these Berktons, totaling about 5,125 years. According to our calendar system, this massive cycle was set to complete on December 21st, 2012. And that's it. That's the core of the prophecy. The calendar reached the end of a major cycle. Now, imagine the odometer in your car hitting 999,999 miles. What happens next? Does your car explode? Does it cease to exist? Of course not. It simply rolls over to zero and starts counting again. And that is precisely how the Maya viewed their calendar. The end of the 13th Bergton wasn't an apocalypse. It was a milestone. It was the end of one great age, and, crucially, the beginning of another. It was a reset, a turning point, not a termination point. The entire end of the world narrative was a modern invention, a pop culture fantasy projected onto ancient Maya beliefs. Nowhere in any authentic Maya inscriptions or codices does it say the world would end. In fact, some inscriptions mention dates far, far into the future, well beyond 2012. This clearly shows that they fully expected time and the world to continue. They weren't prophets of doom. They were master astronomers and keepers of time, fascinated by its cyclical nature. For the Maya, time wasn't a straight line leading to a final destination. It was a circle, or more accurately, a series of interlocking wheels, constantly turning. Endings were always followed by new beginnings, the changing of the seasons, the cycle of life and death. The rising and setting of the sun of it reinforced this worldview. The end of a great cosmic cycle was a moment for reflection, for renewal, and for celebration. It was about transformation, not destruction. It was a chance to realign with the cosmos and begin a new era with fresh energy and purpose. So, why did the world get it so wrong? It's a classic case of cultural misinterpretation, fueled by our own society's fascination with apocalyptic stories. We took a fragment of Maya culture there, incredible calendar, and twisted it to fit our own narrative of a dramatic finale. It makes for a great movie plot, but it does a huge disservice to the sophisticated and nuanced worldview of the Maya people themselves. For the millions of Maya people living today in Guatemala, Mexico, Belize, and Honduras, for many, it was a significant cultural moment, a time to celebrate their heritage, honor their ancestors, and reaffirm their identity in the face of centuries of misunderstanding. It was a moment of profound spiritual importance, marking the dawn of a new cycle and the enduring resilience of their culture. They weren't hiding in bunkers. They were holding ceremonies, sharing stories, and welcoming a new beginning. The 2012 phenomenon teaches us a valuable lesson about how we engage with other cultures. It shows the danger of taking complex beliefs out of context and projecting our own fears and fantasies onto them. The true Maya legacy isn't a failed doomsday prophecy. It's their breathtaking achievements in astronomy, mathematics, art, and architecture, and their profound understanding of time as an eternal, regenerative force. So, the next time you hear about a prophecy, it's always worth digging a little deeper. The real story is often far more interesting and far less catastrophic than the headline. The Maya didn't predict the end. They gave us a model for understanding eternity. Thank you so much for joining me to unravel this modern myth. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more journeys into the amazing history of ancient civilizations. Drop a comment below. What did you think was going to happen in 2012? I'd love to read your stories. Until next time, stay curious. Hello, and welcome back to our journey through time. Today, we're diving into Chapter 16, the calendar in everyday life. We often think of calendars as tools for scheduling meetings or remembering birthdays, but for many ancient civilizations, the calendar was something much more profound. It wasn't just a grid on a wall. It was the very pulse of existence, a sacred map that guided every aspect of life, from the grandest ceremony to the most humble daily chore. Imagine a world where time isn't a linear race against the clock, but a living, breathing cycle. This was the reality for cultures like the Maya, the Aztecs, and the ancient Chinese. For them, the cosmos wasn't a distant, abstract concept. It was an intimate partner in the dance of life. The movements of the sun, moon, and stars were woven into the very fabric of their society, dictating the rhythm of their days. Let's start with the most fundamental human activity, farming. For a society dependent on agriculture, knowing when to plant and when to harvest was a matter of survival. Their calendars were agricultural almanacs of incredible precision. Take maize, the sacred crop of Mesoamerica. The calendar didn't just say, plant in the spring. It specified the exact propitious days to sow the seeds, guided by celestial alignments and the intricate cycles of their 260-day sacred calendar. But planting maize wasn't just a physical act. It was a spiritual one. The farmer wasn't merely placing a seed in the ground. They were participating in a cosmic cycle of death and rebirth, aligning their actions with the gods who governed fertility and rain. The Kalina told them when the earth was ready to receive the seed, and when the heavens were prepared to water it. To plant on the wrong day was to risk not just a poor harvest, but cosmic disharmony. It was a profound expression of respect for the natural world. And when the harvest came, it was a time for immense celebration, a community-wide expression of gratitude. These harvest festivals weren't scheduled randomly. They were precisely timed, marking the culmination of the agricultural cycle as laid out by the calendar. Feasts, music, and ritual dances would erupt, bringing everyone together to honor the bounty of the earth and the gods who provided it. The calendar transformed the harvest from a simple economic event into a sacred, joyous occasion that reinforced community bonds and their connection to the universe. But the calendar's influence extended far beyond the fields. It touched the most personal moments of a person's life, starting from the very first breath. In many of these cultures, the day a child was born was incredibly significant. It wasn't just a date, it was a destiny. The specific day on the sacred calendar would determine the child's name, their character traits, their potential career paths, and even their spiritual animal companion or not. Think about that for a moment. Your entire identity, your place in the community, and your life's path were all intertwined with the cosmic energies of your birth date. This wasn't seen as restrictive, but as a source of guidance and meaning. A calendar specialist, a sort of ancient astrologer, would be consulted to interpret the child's birth date, offering insights into their strengths, weaknesses, and a roadmap for their life's journey. It gave each individual a unique and sacred connection to the cosmos from the moment they entered the world. This cosmic rhythm also guided the union of two people in marriage. Choosing a wedding date wasn't about venue availability or a convenient weekend. It was a complex calculation. The birth dates of the potential bride and groom were compared using the calendar to determine their compatibility. Were their energies harmonious? Would their union bring prosperity and happiness? The calendar acted as the ultimate matchmaker, ensuring that this sacred bond was forged under the most favorable cosmic influences. An auspicious wedding day, chosen with care, was believed to guarantee a strong, fruitful, and blessed partnership. Even the most ordinary, mundane actions were often synchronized with the calendar's rhythm. Decisions about when to begin building a house, when to embark on a trading journey, or even when to cut your hair could be influenced by the energy of a particular day. This wasn't superstition. It was a worldview that saw no separation between humanity and the universe. Every action, no matter how small, was part of a larger pattern. Each breath was in sync with the rising and setting of the sun. Each day was a thread woven into the grand tapestry of the cosmos. This deep integration of time into daily life fostered a profound sense of order, meaning, and belonging. Life wasn't a series of random events, but a meaningful journey navigated with a divine map. The calendar provided structure, reassurance, and a constant reminder that they were part of something vast and eternal. It turned the everyday into the sacred, infusing ordinary life with cosmic significance. As we look at our own lives, with our digital calendars and constant notifications, it's worth pausing to reflect on this older, deeper relationship with time. What have we gained, and what might we have lost? This ancient wisdom reminds us that time is more than just a measurement. It is the rhythm of life itself. The universe has its own pattern, and perhaps there is still value in learning to listen to its ancient, steady beat. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of time and tradition. If you found this journey as fascinating as I did, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more chapters. Your support means the world and allows us to continue these adventures together. Until next time, stay curious. Have you ever walked past an old building and wondered about the stories etched into its walls? Imagined if every carving wasn't just decoration, but a detailed historical record. A story waiting to be read. That's exactly what the ancient Maya did. Welcome back to our journey through history. Today, we're diving into Chapter 17, Glyphs and Stone Inscriptions, to decode the incredible stories the Maya carved into stone. Picture this. You're standing in the heart of a dense jungle, surrounded by the towering pyramids and plazas of a once thriving Mayan city. All around you are magnificent stone monuments called stelae. These aren't just statues, they're the history books of the Maya, written in a language of intricate pictures and symbols known as glyphs. For centuries, these silent stones held their secrets, their messages lost to time. But thanks to the tireless work of linguists and archaeologists, we're finally beginning to understand them. So, what exactly is a Mayan glyph? Think of it as a blend of art and writing. Some glyphs represent whole words, like jaguar or king, while others represent phonetic syllables, much like the letters in our alphabet. When combined, they form a complex and beautiful script that can express anything from a simple name to a profound philosophical idea. It's one of the most sophisticated writing systems ever developed in the ancient Americas. Let's take a closer look at these stelae. They were often erected in public plazas, serving as declarations of power and legitimacy for the rulers. A typical stela would feature a grand, life-sized portrait of a king, or a how, decked out in all his ceremonial finery. He might be holding a scepter, wearing an elaborate feathered headdress, and adorned with jade jewelry. But the real story is in the text that surrounds him. These inscriptions tell us so much. They record the king's name, his lineage, and the key events of his reign. We learn about his birth, his ascension to the throne, the battles he won, and the alliances he forged. It's like reading a royal biographer carved in stone. For example, a glyph might tell us that, on a specific date, a certain king captured a rival lord from a neighboring city. This wasn't just boasting, it was a crucial part of Mayan political life, a way to showcase strength and secure a legacy. But the glyphs weren't just about kings and wars. They were also deeply intertwined with the Mayan concept of time and cosmology. Mayan scribes were master astronomers and mathematicians, and their calendar system was astonishingly precise. Every major event recorded on a stela is anchored to a specific date in their complex calendar, often down to the exact day. They used a system called the long count calendar, which tracked time from a mythological starting point, roughly equivalent to August 11th, 3114 BC in our calendar. This allowed them to pinpoint events with incredible accuracy across vast spans of time. So, an inscription wouldn't just say a king had a victory. It would say this victory occurred on the day 9.15, 5.00, a date that we can now translate to a precise day in our own calendar system. This reverence for time shows us that for the Maya, history wasn't just a sequence of events. It was part of a grand, cyclical, cosmic order. The rituals described in these texts are also fascinating. Glyphs tell us about bloodletting ceremonies, where royalty would offer their own blood to the gods to ensure the continued balance of the universe. They describe elaborate feasts, sacred ball games, and astronomical observations that guided both farming and warfare. These inscriptions give us a window into the spiritual and daily life of the elite, painting a vivid picture of their worldview. The artists who carved these monuments were highly respected members of society. Creating a stela was a painstaking process, requiring immense skill. They would first quarry a huge block of limestone, then meticulously carve the intricate designs using tools made of stone and obsidian. Each stela was a masterpiece of both art and mathematics, a sacred object that connected the earthly realm of the king with the divine realm of the gods and ancestors. The level of detail is just breathtaking. You can see the individual feathers on a headdress, the delicate patterns on a robe, and the expressive faces of the figures. For a long time, scholars believed the glyphs were purely symbolic or related only to the calendar. It was a huge breakthrough in the mid-20th century when they realized that the glyphs recorded actual history and spoken language. Epigraphers like Tatiana Preskuryakov were instrumental in this shift. By noticing patterns in the dates on stelae, at Pydrus Negris, she deduced that they corresponded to the birth, accession, and death of rulers, not gods or astronomers. This unlocked the door to reading Mayan history in their own words. Since then, our understanding has grown exponentially. We can now read a significant portion of the known Mayan inscriptions. We've been able to reconstruct royal dynasties, map out political landscapes, and understand the complex web of alliances and rivalries between city-states like Tzolk'in and Palenque. It's like discovering a library of lost histories. For example, the inscriptions at Palenque tell the detailed story of its most famous king, Tzolk'in and Haab, or Pakal the Great, whose magnificent tomb was discovered deep inside the Temple of the Inscriptions. These stone records give us a much more nuanced view of the Maya than we had before. They weren't just a mysterious people who vanished. They were a dynamic, complex society with a rich political and cultural life. They had brilliant leaders, fierce warriors, and gifted artists and scribes who were all part of this grand story. The glyphs reveal the names and deeds of real people, transforming them from abstract figures into individuals with lives, ambitions, and legacies. The act of writing itself was considered a sacred and powerful act. The scribes, known as Asib, were often members of the royal family. Their ability to read and write the sacred script gave them immense prestige and influence. They were the keepers of knowledge, the recorders of time, and the shapers of history. The tools of their trade, the brush, the inkpot made from a conchelar, often depicted in Mayan art, highlighting their importance. So, the next time you see a picture of a Mayan monument, look beyond the impressive architecture. Look closely at the intricate carvings that cover its surface. Remember that each symbol is a piece of a puzzle, a word in a story that lay silent for 1,000 years. These glyphs are a testament to a civilization that valued history, artistry, and the sacred rhythm of time. They are the authentic voice of the ancient Maya, speaking to us directly across the centuries. It is an incredible feeling to know that we can finally listen to what they have to say. Their stories of kings, queens, cosmic cycles, and divine rituals are no longer lost. They are carved in stone, waiting for us to read them. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Mayan glyphs and stone inscriptions. It's a powerful reminder that history is all around us, sometimes written in the most unexpected and beautiful ways. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the wonders of our world. We'll see you in the next chapter. Hey everyone, welcome back to our journey through time. Today, we're diving into Chapter 18, a period of profound change titled Collapse and Continuity. This chapter is a bit of a mystery, a historical puzzle that has intrigued scholars for centuries. We're talking about the time around 900 CE, a moment when the vibrant heart of a great civilization seemed to just stop beating. Imagine this. Sprawling cities, masterpieces of architecture, home to tens of thousands of people. These were bustling centers of science, art, and spirituality. Their plazas, once filled with the sounds of ceremony and trade, their pyramids reaching for the heavens, their observatories charting the stars with breathtaking precision. For centuries, they were the epicenters of power and knowledge. Then, over a relatively short period, an eerie silence fell. The stone carvings ceased. Grand construction projects were abandoned. Left unfinished, people began to leave these magnificent urban centers, moving away from the monumental architecture that had defined their world. The jungle, always waiting at the edges, began its slow, relentless process of reclamation, creeping over plazas and swallowing temples whole. Many of the great classic Maya cities, like Tikal and Calakmul, were gradually abandoned. It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Historians and archaeologists have debated this for decades. There wasn't a single simple answer. It was likely a perfect storm of contributing factors. Prolonged, severe droughts may have crippled agriculture, leading to food shortages and social unrest. Intensive farming could have exhausted the soil, making it harder and harder to support large urban populations. We also see evidence of increased warfare between city-states. As resources grew scarce, competition likely intensified, leading to destructive conflicts that destabilized the entire region. Political alliances fractured, trade routes were disrupted, and the authority of the ruling elites, the divine kings, began to crumble. When the rains failed and the harvests withered, people might have started to lose faith in rulers who claimed to mediate with the gods. It was a complex, cascading failure of the systems that had supported this incredible civilization for so long. The collapse wasn't a single event, but a drawn-out process of decline and transformation that varied from region to region. But here's where the story takes a fascinating and beautiful turn. This isn't just a tale of collapse. It's a story of incredible resilience. While the great stone cities fell silent, the people did not disappear. The culture did not vanish. It adapted. It transformed. And at the heart of this survival was one of their most profound creations. The calendar. Think about it. The calendar wasn't just a way to track days. It was the very framework of their cosmos. It was a spiritual system. A divine map that connected humanity to the cycles of the heavens and the rhythms of the earth. It dictated when to plant and when to harvest. It marked the sacred times for ceremonies and rituals. It was woven into the very fabric of identity and belief. It was the operating system for their entire worldview. So, as people moved away from the monumental centers, dispersing into smaller towns and rural communities, they didn't leave this knowledge behind. They couldn't. It was too essential. They carried it with them, not on giant stone stelae, but in their minds and hearts. The complex, interwoven cycles of the Tzolk'in and the Haab continued to turn, their sacred power undiminished by the crumbling of palaces. This is the continuity part of our chapter. The wisdom of the calendar and the deep spiritual system it represented was preserved. How? Through the most enduring human technology of all, oral tradition. Elders passed the knowledge down to the next generation through stories, chants, and teachings. The Daykeepers, the spiritual leaders who were masters of the calendar, continued their vital work, guiding their communities and maintaining the sacred count of days. They became the living libraries of their people. This ancient wisdom didn't just survive in memory, it lived on in practice. It was embedded in the rhythm of rural life, the timing of festivals, the patterns of agriculture, the rituals for birth, marriage, and death. All continued to be guided by the sacred calendar. The grand ceremonies of the city plazas were transformed into more intimate, community-focused events, but the spiritual core remained the same. The fire of their culture wasn't extinguished. It was simply carried to countless smaller hearths, where it was carefully tended. These descendant communities, living in the highlands of Guatemala and the lowlands of the Yucatan, became the custodians of this ancient heritage. They faced immense challenges over the centuries that followed, including conquest and colonization, but they held fast to their traditions. They managed to keep the flame alive, preserving the intricate knowledge of their ancestors against all odds. So, when we look at the silent ruins of the great cities, it's easy to see an ending. But that's only half the story. The other half is a powerful testament to the human spirit. It's about a culture that was so deeply rooted, so resilient, that its essence could survive the collapse of its physical shell. The stones may have fallen silent, but the voices of the people, guided by the ancient rhythms of the cosmos, never did. The calendar, that magnificent intellectual and spiritual achievement, continued to be a living, breathing force in the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into a truly pivotal moment in history. It is a powerful reminder that what makes a culture truly last is just stone and mortar, but the knowledge and spirit passed from one generation to the next. If you found this story as moving and fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next chapter. We'd love to have you with us as we continue our exploration. See you next time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We've been on an incredible journey, diving deep into the mysteries and marvels of the ancient Maya civilization. We've decoded hieroglyphs, explored towering pyramids, and unraveled the complexities of their astronomical knowledge. But today, we're going to bridge the gap between the past and the present in a way that might truly surprise you. We're going to talk about a piece of ancient Maya wisdom that isn't just a relic in a museum, but a living, breathing part of daily life for many people today. This is Chapter 19, The Living Calendar. You might think of calendars as something on your phone or a planner on your desk, but for the ancient Maya, their calendars were the very heartbeat of the cosmos. a sacred map of time itself. We've talked at length about the Haab, the solar calendar, and the long count, which famously tracks vast cycles of time. But the one we're focusing on today is the Tzolk'in, the 260-day sacred calendar. It's a beautiful, intricate system of 20-day signs and 30 numbers, weaving together to create a unique designation for each day. For the ancient Maya, the Tzolk'in was everything. It was their guide for religious ceremonies, for predicting auspicious times for battle, and for understanding the fundamental energies of the universe. Each day had its own spirit, its own character, its own influence. But here's the most amazing part. For many, it still does. Let's travel to the highlands of Guatemala, to the vibrant markets and verdant hillsides. Let's journey to the Yucatan Peninsula, where the legacy of the Maya is etched into the very landscape. In these places, the Tzolk'in didn't end with the fall of the great city-states. It wasn't lost to time or conquest. It was carefully preserved, passed down from generation to generation by dedicated spiritual leaders known as Daykeepers, or Equijib in the Cache. Maya. Language. These aren't historians or archaeologists in the academic sense. They are men and women who have undergone rigorous training and initiation, who carry the sacred knowledge of the calendar in their hearts and minds. They are the living repositories of this ancient tradition. For their communities, they are spiritual advisors, healers, and guides. And their primary tool, the Tzolk'in. So, how is it used today? Well, in many ways, its function remains remarkably consistent with its ancient purpose. One of the most important uses is in naming children. When a baby is born, a daykeeper will consult the Tzolk'in to determine the energy of that specific day. The day's name, a combination of a number and a day sign, reveals a great deal about the child's potential personality, their strengths, their challenges, and even their life's path. It's similar to a Western astrological sign, but deeply rooted in Maya cosmology. This name becomes a core part of their identity, a spiritual guidepost for their entire life. Imagine being born on a day associated with the jaguar, a symbol of power, shamanism, and the underworld. Or perhaps on a day of the reed, representing growth, knowledge, and authority. Your very name would connect you to the cosmic forces that were at play at the moment of your birth. It's a profound way of seeing your place in the universe. But it doesn't stop with birth. The Tzolk'in is a guide for all of life's major milestones. Planning to get married, a couple will often consult a daykeeper to find the most auspicious and harmonious date for their union. The goal is to choose a day whose energies will support a long, happy, and prosperous partnership. They will look for days that align with love, stability, and family, ensuring the marriage begins under the best possible spiritual influences. The calendar's influence extends to the very soil itself. Agriculture has always been the lifeblood of Maya culture, and it remains so for many communities today. Before planting their precious crops of maize, beans, and squash, farmers will consult the daykeeper. They seek to know the right day to plant, a day blessed with energies of fertility and abundance, like the day sign Cain, which is directly associated with ripe maize. They will also perform ceremonies on specific days to bless the fields, to ask for rain, and to ensure a bountiful harvest. The Tzolk'in isn't just about marking time. It's about harmonizing human activity with the rhythms of the natural and supernatural worlds. Daykeepers use the calendar for divination and healing as well. If someone is facing a problem, whether it's an illness, a family dispute, or a business issue, they might go to a daykeeper. The daykeeper will use a method of divination, often involving the casting of sacred sight beans or crystals, to interpret the energies of the two Tzolk'in and gain insight into the root of the problem. The calendar helps them diagnose the spiritual imbalance and prescribe a solution, which might involve a specific ceremony, an offering, or a ritual to restore harmony. This is what makes the Tzolk'in so incredible. It's not a historical artifact. It's a dynamic, practical tool. It's a system for understanding the world and navigating the challenges of life. The fact that it has survived for centuries, through immense social and political upheaval, is a testament to its power and its relevance to the human experience. The daykeepers who carry this knowledge are true cultural heroes. They have guarded this sacred wisdom, often in secret, ensuring it wasn't lost. Today, there's a resurgence of interest and pride in this ancient heritage. Young people are learning the ways of the calendar, and the knowledge is being shared more openly. The Tzolk'in is being recognized not as superstition, but as a sophisticated system of knowledge and a cornerstone of Maya identity. So, as we conclude our journey, remember this. The Maya civilization never truly vanished. It transformed, it adapted, and it lives on. It lives in the languages spoken in the villages, in the food eaten at the dinner table, and most vibrantly, in the rhythmic pulse of the Tzolk'in, the sacred calendar that continues to count the days, guide the people, and connect the human heart to the heartbeat of the cosmos, alive and well in the 21st century. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible exploration of Maya culture. I hope this series has opened your eyes to the depth and beauty of this amazing civilization. If you enjoyed this journey and want to see more content like this, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to me. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Here we are again, you and I, back where our journey began, beneath a vast, velvet blanket of stars. It feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? When we first looked up at this same celestial map, we were just beginning to unravel the intricate tapestry of Maya cosmology. Now, as we stand at the end of our exploration, the stars feel less like distant, cold points of light and more like old friends, winking at us with the wisdom of ages. Take a deep breath. Feel the cool night air fill your lungs. Listen. Can you hear it? Beyond the gentle chirp of crickets and the whisper of wind through the leaves, there's another sound. It's the quiet, steady rhythm of time itself. A concept the Maya understood not as a relentless arrow, but as a magnificent, repeating circle. This is the heart of their wisdom, the ultimate lesson they left for us to discover. Throughout our journey, we've walked through the ruins of grand cities, deciphered the complex glyphs of their calendar, and marveled at their astronomical prowess. We saw how they built their world in alignment with the cosmos, how every temple, every ritual, was a mirror reflecting the dance of the sun, moon, and planets. They didn't just observe the sky, they lived by it. They understood that they were part of a grand, cosmic cycle, and this understanding shaped Haab's entire existence. Think about your own life. We often measure it in linear terms, a starting point, a finish line, a series of events strung together like beads on a string. We chase deadlines. We race against the clock. We fear time slipping away. But what if we saw it differently? What if we embraced the Mayan perspective? Look at the world around you. The sun rises and sets, a daily promise of renewal. The moon waxes and wanes, a monthly reminder of transformation. The seasons turn, from the new life of spring to the quiet slumber of winter, each a necessary part of the whole. These aren't just random occurrences. They are the gears of a great clock, the eternal circle of existence. Our own lives are woven into this same pattern. Every day is a small lifetime. We wake, we live, we rest. Every year, we circle the sun, celebrating birthdays that mark not just the passing of time, but our own personal orbit within a much larger system. We are born, we grow, we learn, and we pass on our knowledge to the next generation, just as the Maya did, ensuring a different kind of immortality. We are links in an unbroken chain, stretching back to the dawn of humanity and forward into a future we can only imagine. The Maya calendar, with its intricate, interlocking wheels, wasn't just a tool for tracking days. It was a philosophical guide, a map for navigating life. It taught that every day had its own energy, its own purpose. There were times for planting and times for harvesting, times for celebration and times for reflection. By understanding this rhythm, they could live in harmony with the universe, not in opposition to it. They didn't fear the end of a cycle, because they knew it was always the beginning of a new one. The end of a day is the start of a night. The end of a year is the dawn of the next. This is a powerful and peaceful way to live. It frees us from the anxiety of running out of time. Time isn't a commodity to be hoarded or spent. It's an ocean we swim in, a current that carries us. We can fight against it, exhausting ourselves, or we can learn its tides and flow with it, using its power to guide us. Honoring time means honoring the present moment, recognizing its unique quality and its place in the grander scheme. It means accepting the ebb and flow, the light and the shadow, as essential parts of the journey. Think of the generations that came before you, your parents, your grandparents, and their ancestors stretching back into the mists of history. You carry their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs within you. You are the culmination of their journey, and just as you are their legacy, you are creating a legacy for the generations that will follow. The lessons you learn, the love you share, the wisdom you gain. These are the seeds you plant for a future you may never see. This is the great cycle of humanity, the eternal circle of generations. The Maya understood this profoundly. They built their society on this foundation of continuity. They honored their ancestors, learning from their wisdom, and they prepared the world for their descendants, ensuring the cycle would continue. They knew that their individual lives were fleeting, but that they were part of something much larger, something timeless. As we stand here under these ancient stars, the same stars that guided the Maya skywatchers, let's take this lesson to heart. Let's try to see our lives not as a straight line, but as a beautiful, spiraling circle. Let's honor the cycles of our days, our years, and our lives. Let's find peace in the rhythm of the universe, knowing that every ending is a new beginning. This journey through the world of the Maya has been about more than just history or archaeology. It has been a journey into a different way of seeing, a different way of being. It's a reminder that ancient wisdom can offer profound solutions to modern anxieties. The Maya remind us that time is not our enemy. It is not something to be feared or chased. It is a sacred dance, and we are all invited to participate. It is a gift to be understood, to be omod, and to be lived within, peacefully and fully. So the next time you feel the pressure of the clock, the next time you worry about the future or regret the past, step outside. Look up at the sky. Find Timun. Find a familiar constellation. Remember the great, eternal circles turning silently above and all around you. Remember that you are a part of that dance. You are a star in your own right, traveling your own unique orbit within this magnificent, interconnected cosmos. The wind you feel on your skin has traveled across continents and oceans. The ground beneath your feet is made of stardust. The very atoms that make up your body were forged in the heart of a dying star billions of years ago. You are not separate from the universe. You are a living, breathing, thinking part of it. And your time here, no matter how long or short, is a precious, meaningful note in the grand symphony of existence. Live it with awareness. Live it with gratitude. Live it with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are exactly where you are supposed to be, right here, right now. A vital part of the eternal circle. The story doesn't end here. For you, for me, for all of us. It is always just beginning. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey. It has been an honor to share this path with you. If these stories and ideas have resonated with you, please consider subscribing and joining our community of explorers. There are many more worlds to discover, both ancient and new. Until next time, be well, and don't forget to look up.